question is, what next? What will transpire today in the National Assembly? This particular morning, I'll be joined by three panelists, including Mr. Kimani Mwangi, a political analyst, Fred Okango, as well as Wilson Sosion, to just get a look of what to expect today in the National Assembly and what next for Rigathi Gachagua, because from the look of things and from his sentiments yesterday, then we do expect him to head to the courts, if need be, because he said he trusts and he has tremendous respect for the Kenyan courts. So most likely, if at all, and if needs be, this particular case will be headed to the courts. Now, welcome to the New Dawn. I am Ian Keitani, and remember, you can watch this particular show live across our social media platforms at K24 TV. Do let us know, what do you make of the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua, especially after his address to the country yesterday evening, absolving himself from any blame? What do you make of the impeachment against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, especially after he addressed the country yesterday, absolving himself from any blame? At this particular moment in time, I just want us to have a look at what is making headlines in the news this particular morning here on K24, and to be specific, the New Dawn. You can engage with me at Ian Keitani, and like I said as well, at K24 TV. We'll be sampling some of your views just to get to understand what you make of the current political situation in the country. Now, let's get going. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has vowed to fight back against the impeachment motion set to begin formal proceedings in the National Assembly today. Now, speaking yesterday evening, Gachagua described the ouster attempt as illegal and lacking substantial grounds for his removal. He reminded his critics and those supporting his impeachment that he was elected by 7.2 million Kenyans and that he could not be easily ousted by members of parliament acting on what he termed as outrageous and false accusations.
Fair. When members of parliament decide that they want to remove the deputy president from office, the people who elected Rigathi Gachagua as deputy president hear his side of the story. I think it's only fair. And I thought it's also respectful to the voters to have the first opportunity to hear from me before the honorable members, because they are the ones who elected me to office. Article 1 of the Kenya Constitution says that the power, the sovereignty of this great nation rests with the people. And Parliament, that is the National Assembly and the Senate, enjoy delegated authority from the people. It is therefore very important that the people who elected me as Deputy President get my response of the very outrageous accusations against their Deputy President that have no basis, that is sheer propaganda, that is a scheme to hold me out of office because of other political considerations, and has nothing to do with violation of the Constitution. It has nothing to do with gross misconduct, and it has absolutely nothing to do with committing international or national crimes. The people of Kenya are therefore entitled by right to hear from their Deputy President what is his response to those outrageous allegations. Again, an attempt to do a public participation in a very short exercise that was done. My response was not part of what was presented to the people of Kenya. The people of Kenya were being asked to give their views as to whether the Deputy President should be impeached from office, and the accusations were attached, but in a highly legalistic language beyond the comprehension of many Kenyans. But the response of the Deputy President was not there to enable them make an informed decision by listening to the charges against him and listening to his response. Because the rules of natural justice demand that no man should be condemned unheard. My lawyers will be vigorously challenging that public participation as a nullity and that does not meet the threshold of public participation as expounded by the Supreme Court of Kenya during the celebrated case of Governor Peter Wabora. The motion alleges that 2 years since assuming office, Rigathi Gachagua has acquired property and wealth whose estimated value is 5.2 billion, despite his known income by way of employment is 24 million. This is extremely outrageous. Honorable Mutuse goes ahead to give properties that he alleges are owned by one Rigathi Gachagua. I trust he was just given a document to sign. Had he taken some bit of time to do some research, he would not embarrass himself and the National Assembly.
Now, a recent poll by K24 Research shows that 41% of Kenyans support the impeachment motion against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, citing his remarks on regional favoritism and ethnic discrimination. However, a large percentage of residents from the Mount Kenya region oppose his ouster, as Bentura Komboka now reports. Many Kenyans feel Interior CS Kithure Kindiki would be the ideal candidate to succeed Gachagua if he is indeed impeached.
With the impeachment motion against Rigathi Gachagua just hours away, Mount Kenya residents remain firmly opposed to his removal, viewing it as an unfair attack. They argue he should be given another chance to work alongside the president. Meanwhile, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki is widely considered the leading candidate to replace Gachagua if the motion passes.
They are accusing him of ethnic discrimination. This question, the issue about shareholders and blah, 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 which we could also call hate speech. Many people from some communities interpret that as being hostile to other communities. Although it's only 36%, his people think he's being targeted unfairly. He should be forgiven and they should make up, given a second chance, blah, blah, blah.
In the report released today by K24, 41% of Kenyans support the impeachment motion, while 38% oppose it. The survey, conducted between October 1st and 4th, revealed that 35% of those in favor cite Gachagua's ethnic discrimination and hate speech as key reasons, while 36% believe he's being unfairly targeted. The research also shows that 69% of Mount Kenya residents oppose the impeachment, while 20% support it.
In Mount Kenya, opposition is much, much stronger, between 2/3 and 3/4, 69%, whereas only 20% on the mountain support it. More than twice that percentage, 47% from the rest of Kenya, support his removal. Again, not surprising. And we asked for reasons among those who support his removal, what the main reason is. Single response.
Beyond the concerns about favoritism and discrimination, 20% believe Gachagua should be removed due to poor performance and bad leadership. Another 13% cite abuse of office, and 12% attribute his potential impeachment to disagreements with the President William Ruto. Meanwhile, 2% believes it stems from disputes with his party leaders. Furthermore, 58% of respondents in the Mount Kenya region feel Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki is the right replacement for Gachagua. Meanwhile, 5% back Foreign Affairs CS Musalia Mudavadi for the position, and another 5% support Ndindi Nyoro. Another suggested candidates include Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru and Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga.
We've had a number of pro-impeachment leaders on the mountain, including a group of Njuri Ncheke elders, although some of them looked very young to me, marching in support of Professor Kindiki as the successor.
Gachagua is scheduled to appear before Parliament tomorrow, either in person or through legal representation, to defend himself against the impeachment motion. He faces 10 charges, including gross misconduct, undermining the presidency, and corruption. A total of 291 members of Parliament are backing the motion to impeach Gachagua. Bentura Komboka, K24, Nairobi.
Now, Kenya Party leader Martha Karua has stated that if Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is to resign, and then President William Ruto should also step down. Speaking to the media, Karua criticized the Kenya Kwanza administration for what she termed as jeopardizing Kenya's economy without considering the views of its citizens. She also condemned the government for abductions and extrajudicial killings. Electrine Odera tells us more.
With mixed reactions emerging regarding the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, the focus now appears to be on both him and the president. Now, Kenya Party leader Martha Karua is the latest to join the group of Kenyans advocating for the resignation of both the president and his deputy.
Tunaambia Ruto na serikali yake wawe tayari kufanyia Wakenya kazi au waondoke, ndivyo Wakenya waweze kupata uongozi mpya. Kwa wabunge tunawakumbusha Gachagua alikuwa na kicheko na furaha nyingi wakati alikuwa anatusi Uhuru Kenyatta na viongozi wote, na sana sana viongozi wa Mount Kenya. Hakuona siku yake kama itafika. Leo hii nashtuka. Wabunge hawaoni, wanafurahia kumtupia Gachagua mawe, hawajui wakimaliza na Gachagua siku yao pia itafika.
Speaking to the media, Karua avowed that Kenya Kwanza has mismanaged the nation's economy and should be held accountable.
Indeed, it was very impressive that Kenyans were not diverted from the pressing national issues to power games. And they were able to put out their pressing needs, which should be looked after rather than the power games of impeachment.
Karua criticized Kenya Kwanza for the confusion surrounding the chief medical insurance, stating that many Kenyans are now missing out on essential health services due to the new cover.
Katika NHIF, Wakenya walikuwa wanalipa 500 kila mtu kwa mwezi. Lakini katika chief, kila mwenye ameajiliwa kazi anaambiwa atoe 3% ya mshahara wake. Na hao ni Wakenya ambao kodi ile wanatoa ni ya juu sana na wako na shida ya pesa. Hata wengi hawawezi pata chakula ya kutosha ya kila siku.
She also condemned Kenya Kwanza for the abductions and death of Kenyans, as well as the discovery of bodies at Kware. She says Kenya Kwanza has made decisions without taking public views into considerations, decisions that have had serious ramifications on the economy.
In their voice, telling both Ruto and Gachagua that they stand impeached. They came in as a pair and they'll go home as a pair. That was the message of Kenyans.
She remains firm that the president and his deputy should carry the blame. Electrine Odera, K24 TV.
Now, the Council of Elders now want President William Ruto to forgive his deputy Rigathi Gachagua, and amid impeachment fears led by Council Chairperson Major retired John Sei, the elders have appealed to members of Parliament not to escalate the political tension between the president and his deputy. John Makuba with that report.
Just a day after Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua asked President William Ruto for forgiveness, the Executive Committee of the National Council of Elders has today urged the President and other political leaders to embrace forgiveness to ease the country's high-voltage polarization politics. They believe this could help prevent ethnic divisions from taking root.
Sameheane. Kwa sababu ikiwa Mwenyezi Mungu anaweza kutusamehe kwa dhambi zile ambayo tunafanya kila siku, wao ni binadamu, inafaa tofauti zile ambazo zimejitokeza wakae chini, na tunashukuru vile vile makamu wa rais jana aliomba msamaha. Asiyesikia la wazee
atafunja guu,
asiyesikia la wakuu uvunjika guu.
Led by Council Chairman Major retired John Sei, The elders have appealed to members of parliament not to escalate the political tension between President Ruto and his deputy. Instead, they are urging MPs to allow the church and elders to mediate in resolving the conflict.
So tunatarajia kwamba there will be utaratibu mzuri katika parliament. They will not hawata tupeliana viti na vitu kama hizo, lakini this time round elders wako tayari kuintervene kama vitu vikienda wrong.
Dalili ambazo zinajitokeza katika sehemu mbalimbali ya nchi hii sio dalili nzuri, ni dalili ya mgawanyiko. Kwa hivyo wabunge kama watu ambao tumewachagua na wana majukumu mbele ya Mwenyezi Mungu, yao ni kupatanisha na sio kulete mwanya mkubwa ambayo inaweza gawanya nchi hii.
Council Secretary Ahmed Said emphasized that when disputes arise at the presidency, it is never too early to seek counsel from elders to help the leaders work out their differences.
Viongozi wakae chini, wamaliza hii maneno haraka iwezekanavyo, na wakishindwa waalike wazee na viongozi wa dini tuwasaidie kwa minajili ya kuboresha maisha ya jamii zetu.
These sentiments were echoed by the Gikuyu Council of Elders, led by National Chairperson Wachira Kiago, who praised the Deputy President Gachagua for his courage in publicly admitting his mistakes and apologizing.
Kama ameomba msamaha, hiyo ndio ile njia maana sana sisi tunajuaga ya mwisho mtu kujitoa. Na kwa hivyo kama wasee tunasema watu wasikize na wakubali hiyo msamaha. Na alafu tuambia maheshimiwa na sana kutoka kwetu. Wao sio walijichagua, hiyo uongozi wao walipatiwa uongozi na wale watu waliwachagua. Kwa hivyo ni heri wao wanasikiza vile watu wanasema.
They commended this as a demonstration of values upheld in African culture and urged other political leaders to follow suit in acknowledging the wrongs they have inflicted on the nation.
Ya kesho mjue nyinyi ndio mtajiweka kwa moto au mjitoe kwa moto. Na sasa kama wasee sisi tunataka amani. Tunataka tuendelee na muendelee na uongozi wenu ukiwa sawa ili watu wetu wasaidike.
After the public participation forums held across the country, the Deputy President will soon have his opportunity to defend himself before Parliament. John Makuba, K24 TV.
The Council of Governors now says a failure to disburse at least 30 billion Kenya shillings for the month of June in the 2023-24 financial year has hindered service delivery and budget implementation. Those counties, the county chiefs want the national government to ensure timely disbursement of funds to counties.
Over 5 hours of closed-door deliberations, the 47 county heads have unanimously elected Wajir Governor Ahmed Abdullahi as the new chairperson of the Council of Governors.
The county chiefs and the national government embroiled in a tussle over revenue allocation and timely disbursement of funds time and again, despite 354 billion being disbursed in the 2023-24 financial year. Governors have faulted the National Treasury over failure to disburse at least 30 billion to counties.
A total of 354.59 billion was disbursed to county governments as equitable share, equivalent to 92%. However, the National Treasury did not disburse 30.8 billion of equitable share relating to the June 2024 allocation for the financial year 2023-2024.
The sentiments of the outgoing COG boss were echoed by Kakamega Governor Fernandes Barasa, the chairperson of the Council's Finance Committee, who called on Treasury CS John Mbadi to ensure timely disbursement of funds, with counties being owed at least 100 billion shillings.
Hivi sasa tujapokea pesa kutoka mwezi wa Julai, mwezi wa August na pia mwezi wa 9, karibu bilioni 100. Kila siku huwa nakumbusha serikali kuu kupitia kwa waziri CPA John Mbadi ya kwamba ni vema pesa ambazo tunahitaji kama magatuzi zote zikuja kwa wakati.
According to Governor Waiguru, failure to disburse the funds has led to accumulation of pending bills.
This negatively affected the county's budget implementation for the last financial year, leading to further accumulation of pending bills.
Also owed to counties is 3.3 billion for county aggregation and industrial parks, 2.93 billion allocation to mineral royalties, 108.66 million allocation for court fines, 162.85 million conditional grant for transfer of library services, and 454 million supplement for construction of county headquarters. In her annual State of Devolution address, Waiguru noted that despite facing challenges in disbursement of funds, counties made tremendous strides in own source revenue, with counties generating 58.9 billion, which signals 72.8% of their 80.94 billion target. Among the counties with the highest on-source revenue include Turkana County, who surpassed their target by 241.2%, Vihiga County by 136.3%, Kirinyaga County by 118.4%, Lamu County with 116.2%, and Nandi County with 113%. With the projected revenue for budget implementation in the financial year 2023-2024 being 564.5 billion, the Kirinyaga County Chief was quick to laud the governors for meeting the fiscal responsibility principle under the Public Finance Management Act, requiring allocation of at least 30% of the budget to development expenditure. As the shambolic migration from NHIF to SHIF ongoing, the governors, who led by Mudhomi Njoki last week, decried failure to be involved in the implementation, faulted the national government over failure to pay NHIF funds owed to them.
The transition from the National Health Insurance Fund to the Social Health Insurance Fund has created challenges, as counties are owed 12 billion for services rendered, causing disruption in health services due to delayed payments.
The county chiefs also highlighted strides made in key sectors, including health, agriculture, and education.
County governments have continued to allocate an average of 30% of their total budgets to health departments, with a commitment to gradually increase this allocation.
Ian Keitani, K24 TV, Nairobi. Well, those are the news making headlines this particular morning here on the New Dawn. But at this particular moment in time, we'll be taking a brief breather before we come back and look at what is making headlines in the local dailies this morning. Of course, the biggest story being the impeachment motion against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, with the debate set to kickstart this particular morning all the way to midnight if needs be. That will be after this short break. Don't go away.
The biggest reggae and rhythm show ever on Kenyan television. You have a ganja man and you wanna forget. Tell them nothing about